Okay.
All right. Let's see. Typically, we have about 30 to 40 attendees, most of the calls, and they are 99% of them are from Portugal. So this batch that we are training at the moment are all from Portugal, different parts of the country, and yeah.
Cool. I'm gonna close that blind. That might be
Yes. Right. Hello, everybody. I see people are starting to come in. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Yes. How is the weather there? This is a very common question. It's very hot now in Lisbon, at least. I think it was like 26 degrees, I think, today. I'm not 100% sure, but it is. And I'm wishing that I am by the beach today. Cloudy in Porto, but come on, Porto is always a little colder compared to Lisbon anyways, because I think it's in the interior of the country. Where are you located now, Weston? Maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself while we're waiting.
Yeah, I'm living in California, Fremont. It's very beautiful outside today. Very sunny.
Another perfect weather location, across the world.
Yes.
Right. Okay, maybe we can go ahead and start. Now we have about half of the people that is arriving. A few announcements, and this was announced within our Slack group, by the way, in Grow Remote, because Tracy, our Grow Remote founder, was watching the Facebook Live with Mark, and they were saying that they are hiring remotely now. So the first thing that we did is like look at their careers page, like where are the remote positions available? Because you said that you're hiring remotely, right? So, but I think that's pretty good news for everybody. Twitter started doing the remote forever thing, and now I think the rest of the group with the big tech companies are following suit.
Yeah, it's an exciting time in that regard.
Yes, indeed. I actually can't believe that we are witnessing this happening, because when I started working remotely, which was about 8 years ago, and you can imagine 8 years ago how it was. Like when you tell people like I work in social media or I work in Facebook, and their eyes would glaze over. It's like, wow, that's amazing. Like I want to work in Facebook, like be in Facebook all the time too, right? Because during that time it was just for leisure, and people go there to watch, videos of cats, and yeah. So
well, where there are eyes, there's money. So there's always going to be a place for someone to step in.
That's exactly it. And I think most people didn't realize that, that we were investing time and attention in these social media platforms, and that's actually money for a lot of companies.
Yeah.
It was just, yeah. Carlos Zuckerberg is talking right now about hiring remotely. Yes, he was, or he still is, I guess. I don't know if it's still live. I'm just listening to Tracy in Slack announcing things. Okay, we can go ahead and get started. Weston, good afternoon, or more. I think it's morning there, right?
It is morning here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, thank you so much for coming into our Ask Me Anything sessions.
You're welcome.
We really appreciate you allocating time for us, and we want to pick your brains on with regards to everything working remotely. Most of the mentees that we have are in a transition phase. So that means that they have different careers before, and now they are looking to, find work online. That could be in tech, that could not be in tech. We're all sorts, but basically everybody wants to work remotely.
Well, wonderful. In that case, I definitely can help. I have been going through the transition phase into remote work, coming from a background where I just did not necessarily have the experience to, win those applications, the contest of applications. And nonetheless, through a lot of great advice and through experiments and sheer will, I've definitely made a lot of headway. And I mean, look at me now. Here I'm talking to you all. So,
Exactly.
ask me anything. I can give you a lot of good advice in making that transition.
All right, maybe we should get started with can you tell us about what were the jobs that you had before you transitioned to working remotely? Like, what was your background? What made you decide to go remotely? How was that process? How did that look like?
Sure, I've done many things, so I'm going to try and be brief while at the same time capturing the spirit of what I was thinking as I've done all these things. So I majored in business administration and information systems. I have a bachelor in that. And at the time, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was taking my education, but we have to choose a major. We have to choose something, even if we don't know our path yet. And I chose business and information systems because I figured that both were going to be incredibly important no matter what I did. When I was 26, I realized that probably my biggest goal in my life as a young man is to see the world. I just so badly want to explore and learn new languages, meet new people, have that sort of adventurous lifestyle. It's my calling right now. My priorities will change as I get older. That's where I'm at. And I thought that I realized that as long as I found a practical way of doing it, it could work. So at the time, I thought I would work on cruise ships, which, as we all know, I'm sure we're all glad I didn't do that. So I started taking jobs in hospitality. I worked at hotels. I also tried my hand at sales. And for the past year, I've been an Uber driver because the sales job was just disastrous. And after I got out of it, I'm like, okay, where do I go from now? And I said, I'm 30 years old. I've learned enough in my life to really not do anything stupid, but I'm also still young and in my prime. So now's the time to maybe start my own business, start really pursuing exactly the lifestyle I want very deliberately. And soon I came to the conclusion that the best way to really create my life, either through entrepreneurship or through employment, is working remotely. And in the past year and a half, I've really dedicated all my energy towards that. It was slow going at the start, but I made a lot of headway. Since the pandemic started, especially this past year, I've been networking nonstop with people like June here and many, many other people who are big in the remote sphere, because these are the people to be talking to. People like June, she's connected, she knows people, she's running this webinar for you. You want to talk to people like her on LinkedIn, and then you want to make yourself valuable to people like her on LinkedIn. You do that, you can get in.
Well, I would say that was really good advice.
It's worked well for me.
Working pretty well right at the moment. Yeah, and basically, so what was the main challenges that you were encountering with the transition? A lot of our mentees can relate to you because they are in this phase, the phase that you went through. So what were the challenges and how did you overcome those challenges?
Right. Well, I think a challenge that a lot of people will face, we're talking about people transitioning careers, is you want to apply for jobs, the jobs you really want. Bless your heart for knowing what you want, being deliberate about it, and looking in the right places, first of all. But you have a problem. Your educational background, your career background is in another place. And to stand out in the applications, they're saying like, yeah, we want someone with 4 years of content creation experience, and you had this degree in journalism, and you had this and this and this. If you don't stand out from the competition when you apply. So I started seriously applying for remote jobs back in September. And for 3 months, I really was not having much luck. It was very, very hard. It felt almost pointless for me to apply for the jobs I wanted, because I'm just like, I'm going to spend 2 hours tailoring a resume, kind of finagling it, because I just don't, the resume isn't, it doesn't fit what they're asking for closely enough for me to stand out. I'm not even sure if they're going to look at it. I think at the start, I definitely had those questions in my mind too. There's also in my mind, like, how do I stand out from my competition? I know I'm valuable, but at the same time, this is an important piece of advice for you all. It's less important how valuable you know you are. It's more important how valuable you are to other people. That's always going to be important. That's how you get, employers, customers, partnerships, everything. If you can deliver and be visible as value in the eyes of other people. So I just didn't have that at the start. And those were some of the major challenges I faced.
I can imagine. We were just talking about it yesterday. Rosanna was our guest, and she was one of the main admins for Lisbon Digital Nomads, and she was telling us the value of networking. So just like what you were saying, right? So you need to be connecting with these people, because then you need to project what's your value to them. You need to be specific
Yes.
on what you can do, what it is that you are really good at, and then you need to be able to communicate that with other people so that they would know, because if they don't know what you're good at, they will never recommend you for it. Right? So
Yeah.
it's a tricky thing. So what worked for you? Like in the 3 months that you've been applying, it was a real struggle. What did you do different, and what worked after that?
Well, last year in November, so this was a few months after I started applying, I had a great epiphany. Um, and I have to give a little context to it before I reveal what the epiphany is. So most of my life, I have been very independent, very self-focused. And that worked for me for a long time. I think I developed a lot of internal strength, a lot of self-reliability. And as I got older, I don't think we're born with a sense of responsibility. We're usually born with a sense of entitlement, at least in American culture. Like, truth is, we don't deserve anything. Animals get eaten all the time. You're not entitled to anything. If you want something in this life, you have to earn it. And so that was another thing I gained along the way. Was a sense of responsibility. But eventually I realized, I developed all this internal strength, but I was still so self-focused. I wasn't putting myself out to other people. And I wasn't demonstrating value to other people, I think, as effectively as I am now. Because I realized that in life, everything we're ever going to get that's good comes from other people. All the money we're ever going to get is going to come from a happy customer or a happy employer. I think the good social happiness comes from the other people we can associate with and give value to professionally and non-professionally. All the love we're ever going to get in our life is going to come from, our relationships with our family and lovers and friends, so that was my epiphany. And I realized I really needed to start networking and talking with the people in my industry. And that I started doing that at the beginning of the year, really on the first day of the year. And 5 months later, I'm now a remote coach on 2 platforms. I've done volunteer work for 3 large remote companies. And I'm pretty soon going to start getting paid for some of my work. It was all volunteer for the start. But also, all the time on my LinkedIn and Tory now, I'm starting to get recommendations from the people I've worked with because I've been delivering value. And I'm starting to apply for jobs again. It's been months since I really felt like I could apply, but now I don't feel like I have to twist and finagle my resume as much. I feel like it's starting to speak for itself. And my references are starting to work with me rather than, I think my background is starting to work with me.
Right. I think working on your network, building those connections, actually gives you more confidence in applying for work or showing up to events and giving value to other people, basically, like speaking in public, right? And I think that has a lot to do with realizing also, I don't know, I just recently shared this book called Brag, how to toot your horn without blowing it. I think it's I forgot what the name of the author. I just shared it today. But basically, it's about listing down all of your accomplishments, all of the things that you are really good at. And once you have all of those lists, it's a lot easier for you to communicate that to people, right? So if you know that, let's just say you're really good at content writing, or you're really good at marketing, or you're really good with communications, then you are more confident to talk about that because you know yourself that you are really good at it. Also with yes, Peggy Claus, I'm sorry. Tiago, thank you for that. But basically, that's one part of it, knowing what you're really good at and know all of the things that you've accomplished. And then having your network that knows about these things, right? So
yes.
It comes together, like the pieces comes together as in like, I know my worth and I know what I'm really capable of, and then I communicate it within my network, and so now my network knows about it and they can help me communicate this within their network. So it's like the effect is just, it goes beyond you, and that way you will get more fish within your net because your network is much more bigger now, right? So
yeah.
With regards to the mentorship that you have with Tori, right? What can you share about that with us? Like, what has been the experience like? What were the great tips that you've gotten and given so far, as when you started working remotely?
Well, in Tori's case, they didn't have a whole lot of instruction on how to be a coach. Thankfully, personally, I already had done some time looking into how to be a good coach with programs from a man named Evan Pagan, and also Tony Garzoli and Tony Robbins. They have a program called KBB. And I think what's been really, I've had a great time coaching. I'm really enjoying it. I think I haven't had any call that I've really been unhappy with. And I think what's really worked well with me with coaching is asking good questions and listening before the call even starts. So during a coaching session, if someone, a mentee comes up to me and is introduced to me, I will, before we even schedule a Zoom meeting, I'll ask 5 questions, like, tell me about your job, what are you doing? Are you stressed at all about what you do? Are there any pressures? Is your professional network as strong as you would like? How has the pandemic affected you? Questions like that. And then I listen, I get the responses, and I ask more questions. And the thing I love about questions, sometimes I'll ask questions that I don't necessarily care if I get an answer. I just want you to ask the question to yourself. Like, who are the major influencers in the industry you want to be a part of? I don't care if you know or don't know the question, but you should be asking yourself that question, because those are the people you want to be networking with. Those are the people who use, if you want to be on, the camera like me in June, those are the people you want to be watching to see how they do it, because obviously it's working. So I ask questions like that, I'll take notes, and then during the conversation, we'll just have at it. And a lot of the people I've talked to are fairly fresh, so I haven't had any follow-up meetings yet, but actually, I believe that part of the process of being a good coach is following up. So I'm actually going to message back a couple of the people I've talked to. No one's prodding me to do it, not Tori, not them, but I think it's wise to follow up with these people. That's delivering value.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And really good question with regards to like, who are, the top 5 people that you should be following in your industry. Because like, if you want to be known, in that space, you need to know who should, right? Mm-hmm. Who's leading those industries, right? So the mentees that we have right now, some of them already know what they want to go and accomplish. Like, I know some of them already know that they want to be a UX designer, or they want to be a developer, or any other, HR specialist, people ops. But a lot of them also don't know which direction they should go to. Like, I have this background, but I don't think it's relevant to the digital age right now. And so I'm confused as to where should I go. And this is one of their main questions. And that's exactly why they would like to have mentorship. What would be your suggestion or your advice for them?
Yeah, actually, this is hitting on a very personal and emotional feeling I have. I'm very passionate about this. And I have this to say for especially the people who don't know what they want, but also for the people who do know what they want. I feel like a lot of people in society, a lot of our ideas of success and what we want are based off of these things. I want to make a lot of money. I want to have a great, professional reputation. I want to be respected in society. I want to do work I love. And those are all great things to pursue. But I feel that one thing that gets left out a lot is what kind of life are you going to be living as you work? And that is the beauty of flexible work and remote work arrangements. These work arrangements really give you the ability to choose what sort of life you want. So I ask you, the people who you're asking yourselves, what am I going to do? What do you want in your life? Do you, don't just ask yourself definitely, I want money. I want to be respected. If that's important to you, write it down. I really enjoy doing this kind of work. If that's what you want, write it down too, because I'll tell you, you could be a seamstress, which is completely analog, as we might say in my information class. It's not remote at all. But then, what if you start your own entrepreneurship as being the best goddamn seamstress in the world on the internet? You've suddenly got a remote job entrepreneurship. You can host seminars, you can write electronic books on being a seamstress. So really, remote work does give you that possibility. Just be creative. But also ask yourself, what kind of life do you want to live? Do you like being awake at night and working during the day? Or do you like doing the opposite? Would you like to be doing your work for this country in this city, but also living here? Or would you like to be like me and travel the world because that's what's important to you? Ask yourself those questions, then find the career that fits. I think you gotta know what you want. You really should know what you want. Otherwise, you'll be happy, I guess, but you'll be, people will employ you. They'll be happy to employ you, but you're not going to be working towards your own happiness. You're going to be making money and stuff like that, but you might be miserable because you just haven't thought it out.
Right. Yeah. Tiago says, spot on. Once you discover what you really want, you have to channel every effort towards that goal. Hands down.
All right. Way to go, Tiago.
Yeah. I completely agree. And also, for example, I'm just going to share a little bit of my experience as well. Because
Awesome.
just a little bit.
Okay. Yes.
No, it's because when I've always liked marketing. So I kind of was pushed towards that direction because with the way I communicate and also with the psychology and all of the things that involves in marketing, I really do love marketing, but I don't think that is where my passion is. Like, you can love something, but that's not really your passion. My passion is like helping other people. Just like what we are doing right now, me communicating with you guys. This is the work that I really want to do. And when I was still doing marketing, I feel like there was a part of me that was missing. I wanted to, I'm helping all of these businesses grow their business. This companies help grow their business. But this is not mine. This is not true to myself. And so I had to really talk to myself and then decide whether should I give up this really good life, this really good career that I have built for myself to follow this path wherein it's uncertain, but this is also, I feel like this is my true calling. and I had to make those really tough decisions, and now I am in front of you people, right? we are in front of you. Yeah.
June, can I spin on a topic myself based on what you just said?
Yeah.
So part of the thing is to get the life we really want, it's a journey, and June just told us that so eloquently. Like, she started as a marketer, and that was probably the best job she could have started in. She loved it, but she may not have loved all aspects of it. I don't know. We can talk about that some other time.
Anytime.
But right. But look at how happy she is now. She's doing exactly what she wants to do, and that's kind of the point. I think one of the things I'm finding, and I think a lot of people find as they work through their career, is we have to start somewhere, and we have to work in a field that's got most of what we want, but not all of it. There's going to be things we don't like. There's always going to be some compromises we make at the start of our career before we've really generated enough value and reputation and know-how to create our own ideal life. And now look at June. She's the boss. She's running this platform. I'm her guest. She's helping you all. She's happy. I don't know if she's super happy, but she's more happy than she was. And she says this is a calling, she's very happy. So
I'm elated.
Yes, look at how happy she is. So that's kind of the point, as a personal example, I'm about to work for Tesla on a factory floor, which is, in many respects, for a person, going back to what I said, a person who doesn't quite know what they're going to do, it's a good job. I get paid a decent wage, I get benefits, I get some stock. It's definitely not what I want to be doing, though. Really, I would much rather be doing this all the time. I'd rather get paid for this right now. But I can't. I'm not there yet, not even close. So, but I need to survive. I need the money from Tesla. And while I'm working on Tesla, I get enough days off where I could be doing this the rest of the time and building and applying for jobs. And once I planned it out so that the Tesla factory floor job, I'm so easily replaceable. Once I get hired for a remote company or start making money with my own business, I can just drop Tesla, no problem. And that's the next step in my journey. But we're going to have times where we have to make concessions and compromises about the sort of work we're doing. I think as long as we're on the path, it's all right. And you want to make sure that you don't get stuck on a part of the path you don't like. It's very easy to spend way more time in a job you don't really like, but is definitely the leg up. So that's why, even though I'm starting with Tesla next week, I applied for a job yesterday that I might like. I'm going to look for jobs every single day and apply for them. And I already told you all that I feel much more comfortable applying for them now. And I'm going to keep on networking with people like June and other companies I've worked with to get up to that next level. But again, the beauty of flexible work and remote work is it offers you that chance to really create exactly the life you want. You just have to have a clear idea of what you want, be very deliberate about it, and yeah, look at June. She's success in my eyes.
Success is very subjective. So
it sure is. It sure
right.
is.
Okay. We have some questions from the group. Patricia, hi. I'm looking for remote work, and I find that my skills are not enough. I am thinking about internship or volunteering to gain more knowledge. Is this a good choice?
Yes, it is. So there are a number of ways you can improve your value, and definitely taking internships, taking boot camps, developing skills are all really great ways of doing it. I would say one of the important things to do is, as you pursue these opportunities, you really want to make sure that the teacher has a good reputation or is industry recognized. And also another good thing to do as you're going through the process is, as soon as you sign up for this internship, you might want to post on your LinkedIn, hey, I'm starting this internship. And anytime you learn something that's really cool, you might want to share, wow, I learned this amazing thing on this course. Like, I was taking an SEO certification course, and I might share details about how I've improved my website or such on my LinkedIn through SEO. And once you're done, you definitely want to post, do a big post. Yeah, I'm all done with my internship, and share it on your resume, share it on your LinkedIn. Let people know, you know,
Yeah.
and
Going back to
that
the
can
brag
definitely
thing. Yeah.
improve your quality. It's a long-term investment, but the nice thing about time is it just keeps on moving forward, and eventually, before we know it, we're there.
Yeah. Definitely going back to the brag idea again. I mean, brag, not the bragging, but you know, telling
I'll
people
read that
about
book.
your telling you people your accomplishments. Um, Rita, what do you think about the importance of our presence in social media nowadays? For someone who isn't actively posting on online networks, how can I stand out on a remote job application?
Yes. So actually, let me see if I can, got my iPad here. Let me see if I can show you a few things while I'm talking. So standing out on social media, I think one of the first things you want to do is you should know what sort of people you want to be talking to and what sort of jobs you want to be applying for. That's a really good start to have that clear in your mind, because then you could find the groups on your social media that focus on that. Like I, for example, met June on the Remote Workers of LinkedIn group. And,
Right.
you know, for social media, I just was on there and I was looking through the posts and commenting on topics that were really useful, really interesting, and getting to know the professionals. And that is networking. And I don't think I've said this yet, and I have to say it. Networking is a much easier way of getting a job than applying for them, because 50% of people are hired. 50% of jobs are filled with people who the employers have already known about, or so, and the rest of us just get, you know, sort of thrown into the black hole of the application process. Um, so that's one aspect of the social media. The other thing I think I'd like to talk about is, separate from getting employed, personal branding. Taking some time to really work on your personal brand, learn from the best. Maybe have I have sort of my formal social media presence on LinkedIn, and I have my more informal one on my Instagram and Facebook. And on my own website, it's a little bit of both. I try and walk the line between being informal and being formal. I just make sure that whatever I'm informal, I'm polished about on my own website, so it fits in with everything else. But definitely, I totally recommend building up a social media presence. It opens up all sorts of interesting opportunities for who you can work with, and maybe even creating your own business one day.
Yeah, totally agree. And just to add to that, you don't necessarily have to post content, your own content, if you're not comfortable with it. What you can do is try to promote other people that you like you admire, right? Because this means, if I was an employer and I'm looking at your LinkedIn, and let's just say you are in I don't know, engineering, or fintech, or I don't know, social tech, or whichever industry you want to choose, right? And you're sharing relevant things about your industry, it gives the impression that you actually are following what's happening in your industry. So one, you are not knowledgeable. Two is you are aware or conscious about what's happening in the around you. And yeah, it still helps you, even if it's not your content. Commenting on other people's posts as well brings attention to you. If you comment on, for example, if you comment on my stuff, most likely I will look at your LinkedIn profile too, right? Oh, he's doing this and this, and he actually, shares about these things as well, and we end up having common things, and that's already a start. It's like planting seeds, right? So even if you are shy, meaning I'm guessing you don't want to post a lot of things about you, or you don't want to be starting writing articles yourself, you can still share other people's content and comment on other things, right?
Yes, great. Can I build on that for a moment?
Yes.
Thank you. So I think that's wonderful. I also have done that quite a bit. And I have two thoughts about that. The first thought is if you're going to be an expert in your industry, you really need to know what the other experts are saying. But here's something that's really valuable for all you transitory folk who are like, wow, you know, what is my value right now? What can I do to stand out, to start developing a reputation? You can be what Tony Robbins calls a reporter. So he, in one of his lectures, he told me and others about three types of experts. You have your expert, who's just an authority on their subject matter. You have your broker, who advertises the expert, who helps market them. And you have your reporter, who isn't an expert themselves, but reports on what the experts are saying to their network. And all three eventually become experts themselves if they do it long enough. So that's exactly kind of what June was talking about. You know, if I see a really great article on remote work that might be interesting to her and everyone else, I can share it. I even better if I have an opinion on it. That's for me to process that information and to share my own take and to also share what the experts are saying. I'm starting to get that knowledge myself. And I'm a reporter, but I'm delivering value to the people I know. And in time, doing that long enough, I'm going to know so much. I'm going to know so many of the experts. I'm going to know what they're saying. I become an expert myself when I talk.
Right, right. Really good point on there. Okay, I'm going to go next to the next question. Thanks for sharing your experience, Weston. How did you get into a PR and content specialist role from Saturn?
APR content specialist. Mm-hmm. You know, I think the first way I did it is I just started creating content myself. And it's terrifying beginning to write articles on LinkedIn and on my own website and share them. Only now am I really starting to post something and just be like, I feel fine. That's one of the best ways to start, is just to start writing content, and you know, you'll get your feedback and you can start improving. And sharing it with public is so important for that reason. Now, early on in my articles, my mom would call me up and she's like, Weston, you know, this is great, but I see this spelling errors. Or, you know, I'm just not quite getting the message. A couple of people have told me that. And that's a really good way to start developing your ability with content. Now, on a professional level, if you want to, you know, that what I'm doing definitely does help with the professional level, what I'm talking about. But also it goes back to networking. If you can, one of the best ways to start gaining experience is to just volunteer, do something for free. I've had opportunities where I've reached out to people and they said, yes, we'd be happy to have your help. And, you know, I created content for them. On the other hand, I've had situations where, yes, I still was connected with the person, but they didn't necessarily give me the green light to do work with them, and they were sharing information with me. Instead, I went completely out of my way. I saw what they were doing, and I just produced some content I thought they might find useful. And importantly, I didn't feel any sense of entitlement if they didn't use it. I didn't want to, because it would feel like, yeah, from their perspective, if I put pressure on them, it's like, yes, I made you this awesome thing without being asked. Oh, you're not going to use it. What the hell is wrong with you? You don't want to do that. But instead, if you're like, yes, I made you this thing I think you might like. If you use it, great. If you don't use it, fine. But that's another way to get your starts. I'm getting to the point where I'm actually might be getting paid a tiny bit in like Colombian wages, a tiny bit for some content I'm going to be producing. So it's a process of developing your own style and voice, practicing, sharing it before an audience, doing volunteer work, and then eventually starting to get paid for the work you do. And then eventually my next steps would be I'll develop a greater and greater reputation and skill to the point where I could actually be fully employed for content.
Right. I'm just going to add to that and set up, because I actually, when I started almost 8 years ago, I was in content because I started in marketing. My position back then was I was a guest post acquisition officer. So that is a mouthful, and probably not a lot of people know what that is. And so what I do is we have a writer. So the owner of the agency or the owner of the company that I was working for was a writer, or they were trying to become PR and content specialists, right? And they were. But what we were doing is that we partner with other websites, other companies within our niche, and we tell them, hey, this is, this is our content. We have these articles ready to be published. Do you want to partner with us? It's because they can give traffic to us and we can give traffic to them. And by exchanging within our network, it helps the both of us, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I scratch your back and you scratch mine, and we distribute this, this content that we've written within our networks, both theirs and ours. And this is how you build this type of network. And we have a lot of those. I was working for them for 3 years. Well, not as the guest post acquisition. I became a manager there. But I started with that position. Like that was one of the lowest positions that you could get, because when you are not a writer, right? You're not the one creating the content. And so you really are, you were in the background. We were in the background. We were just speaking with the people who owns these companies and who owns these websites, and we would negotiate with them that you should post our content and we can post some of yours, because we are working in the same industry, and it will benefit both of us.
And that's totally one way to get a start.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point. That was my point.
Yeah,
you can get started that way. And it's even better if you yourself write. If you are the ones writing and you want to write about some specific topic, right, and you're really good at that industry, that specific topic, then you can get in touch with those people and build your name that way. You give them the article, they bring traffic to you, and then eventually you will build your name enough that you will be paid every time that you write.
Yeah. And I want to say one more thing about content creation before we move on. For those of you who are like thinking, maybe I'm not a really great writer, I want to kind of open your minds to the beautiful world of content creation. There's many things you could do. Like there are many skills that are involved. So, for example, maybe you like photography and photo editing. This could be the photo you put on an article. Or perhaps you have some skill with video making. And you can combine text with the photos you're taking. So I made that using Ripple. My point is you might have skills related to visual or written ability. Do not discount those. Maybe you could get a position that isn't related to writing, and it's not officially in your job description, but just be daring enough to one day say, I took these really great photos I think are completely relevant to this article you're writing, Mr. Writer, in my company. What do you think of them? And they might accept them or they might not. But if you get known for that, there might be a day where that writer comes up to you and says, Weston, I really liked what you did with that video. Could you make a video for my article? That is the type of content creation. And in social media today, video content and visual content is becoming so much more important. So that is kind of a future avenue of content creation. The point I want to make, though, the big one is content is just putting a message out to the public. And there's many ways of doing that. So if you have skills in a different area that relate to delivering a message, just keep that in mind. Yeah. It's value you can give.
I agree. Okay, I'm gonna move to the next question. Hi, Weston. Thank you for sharing your experience. It's inspiring to hear such a passionate perspective on pursuing a job and a life you identify yourself with. What would be your advice in regards to showcasing a good content portfolio, or is the cover letter that should actually be the killer line here?
Oh man, the cover letter versus the portfolio. Oof. Gosh, I've experimented with this, and experimentation can be messy. I'm diverging from the point, but I have made portfolios that I substituted as my resumes. That's what I'm really referring to. And you know, it depends. I would say definitely make a portfolio. If you, let's say you've written some things and you have made an Excel spreadsheet and you have made some photos and you've drawn things. I've done all of those stuff and put them all in the same portfolio. I've also had visual evidence of happy customers I had with my Uber driving and from my hotel that I included in my portfolio. I think the thing is with the portfolio, it's really helpful if you've already built a rapport with a group you want to work with. Like, for example, I'm sure I might build a portfolio and share it with June here, and she'd actually look at it. Because we're at this point in our relationship now. But when you're first approaching somebody, definitely the cover letter is where you want to put your energy. And on the subject of writing a good cover letter, I've learned a lot and I have a lot to learn. So I'll share what I know, and I'll also suggest that you look on Muse and other good job websites on how to write one. So don't take everything I say as the way you should do things. But I've heard I think the one thing I would like to share about the cover letter is I've heard many stories of people who got jobs because they, first of all, it's so important to talk less about how well you fit with the job and what you're getting out of it. You know, like a lot of people might write, you know, I could definitely do this work, and I love the fact that you're offering work from anywhere remote because it means I could be a digital nomad. It's definitely what I'm tempted to write when I write a cover letter, but they don't want to hear that. What they want to hear, and really what you should be offering, is, you know, in this role, you know, you do business in both English speaking and Spanish speaking countries. I know both languages, and I see a fit here where I can really help you with both groups of customers. Because I have dual citizenship, I can help you run operations in both the United States and Europe. I have this much experience, and I will definitely create fantastic content for you. But here's the second part. People love to hire people with the same values. If I follow up by saying I'll produce fantastic content for you, that's the what. But the why is I want to produce fantastic content for you because I love what you're doing. I've been paying attention to you and your company for a year now, and I would just be honored to help you out with what you're trying to accomplish. So to have that kind of passion when applying for a company with a cover letter, you need to know what you want, and you need to know what you value on a wider sense. Like, what sort of value you don't just want to give to your company, but you want to give to your company's clients, what their goal is, how they're helping society. And if you have that and you can express that, I think you'll really be appreciated.
Yeah, I think it also, in other words, like if you know the company's culture, the culture of the company that you're applying for, you would get their attention more, because then it shows that you did research about them, that you really are interested in working for them, and that you have the same values as they are, right?
Yeah.
And I've been saying this for a while now with the group, is that these people who are looking for who are posting their job listings or searching for someone to hire, they have a problem, and you need to be able to understand what is the problem, and so that you can position yourself that, hey, Mr. Client, I know this is your problem and I know how to solve this. This is how blah, blah, blah. And that's why I'm the best person for you to hire, right? Not just because I want to work remotely, that's why you should hire me. I'm the best remote worker there is. It's not about you. It's about how you can bring, value to the client, to the company that you're applying for.
Yeah, real quick writing tip closely related to what you just said, June. Mm-hmm. These days when I write stuff, I might use the word I when I start, but then I switch out the word I with you.
Wow.
And I find that my writing gets so much more better that way. It's very helpful to talk about you.
Right.
It really is about you, because that's the value I deliver to you. That's how valuable I am.
Right. Yeah. And just to circle back on Anna's question about the cover letter and the portfolio, if for my personal opinion, you should work on both. The portfolio is something that you can show to people that you don't even need a cover letter for. Like what Weston said, like, he can go ahead and send his portfolio to me. He doesn't need a cover letter, but that portfolio better be really good, because that's, if you don't need a cover letter, it doesn't mean that you should slack off with your portfolio. It still needs to be a really good portfolio so that you can close that deal, because your cover letter is the opening, your portfolio is the one that closes the deal, right? So you'll work on both. Next question. I feel like shifting my career. This is from Lucas. I feel like shifting my career, but not a full 180 degrees. Maybe a 45-degree turn to a slight different direction, but still somewhat related to my educational background. Do you think a specialization course is the way to go in this case? Because I also don't feel comfortable sending my CV to positions asking for years of experience of something I didn't really have. The field that interests me is data analysis, by the way. So what would your suggestion for that?
Well, first of all, I think it's helpful that you already have experience within the background. And one thing that sometimes the fact that you have experience in another area can be a real asset for a different job, because you have a totally different perspective from another side of your industry. So I would say, for starters, start applying anyways. If there's a company you really, really, really want to apply for, maybe those are the ones where you might want to hesitate a little bit. Not hesitate, but plan your approach just a little bit more. Be a little bit more deliberate about it, is I think what I'm really trying to say. Put more time and effort into that approach, but don't hesitate. Just actually push forward. So first of all, that's one thing I would say. I'm not entirely sure if you would need a course, but if they really are requesting a specialized skill, and you really want that job, yes, I think it would be helpful to take the course. And one piece of advice I got from one of my career advisors, Tony Fernera, is you could still apply for a job now that you're taking a course to qualify for later. Just make sure to include that on your resume. Like, I'm taking this course. I started it a month ago. I'll have finished it in 2 months. And, that way they know that you're taking the time to develop your skills within that region.
I agree.
And I think that would be, without knowing more about your situation, Luca, that would be my base level of advice for your situation. But I would say just go for it, apply for it.
Right. For something very specialized that actually requires basic knowledge of certain things, and I think we spoke about this during the UX UI discussion 2 days ago, is that it's okay for you to apply while you're in the boot camp, right? Or while you're taking the course. But make sure that the basic things that you need to know to fulfill that position, you've got it covered, because that's the important part, right? Certifications, bachelor's, master's, and whatnot, they help, but what's really, really important is that you know what you're doing, and that at the end of the day, when they ask you to do something, you will be able to perform that something that they ask you for, right? So that's our take on it. And just to close this question also, Lucas, what we would suggest, just like with our talk before, try out all of those free courses out there for data analytics. And then, as soon as you've taken all of the free things, and you still really want to do the boot camp, you do want to take the course, then go for it. Because then you would really know that this is worth it, that having this in my portfolio would really be an advantage for me. So yeah, that's my take. All right, last question. Hello, Weston. Thank you for your great advices. Before your epiphany, were you struggling to get a clear view on your next future? Did you use any techniques to clarify your fit in the industry? With fit, I mean hard skills and emotional gratification.
Wow. Okay. Yes. One thing, when I was, so it was when I was 26 that I realized I wanted to travel. I'll get to your question in a moment. I'm just giving a bit of context. And I think when, in that realization, it was amazing. I went all the way back to when I was just a 5-year-old boy watching The Jungle Book and Aladdin and looking at these fictional characters and just being like, I really want to have an adventure just like them. And that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted, what I really wanted. And you know, everyone would ask you when the adults asked, what did you want to be when you grew up? You know, someone would say, I want to be a fireman, or I want to be a doctor. And I would say, I want to be an adventurer. And they say, pick something practical. And so for a long time, I didn't know what I wanted to do because people told me I couldn't do what I wanted to do. The truth is I can, I just have to be practical about it. I have to make money doing it. And that's why remote work is such a good way for me to start my career. I have a whole 20-year vision of the next 20 years of my life and what I want to accomplish in every grade. So getting back to your question, what did I do before I had that realization? Well, I think it's important to know if when I was lost, and it was helpful for me to know that I was lost, to have mentally looked in and accepted that. I don't know why I'm here. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm in college. I'm 18, 20 years old. I'm being told to pick a major. Okay. When I got at first I started with psychology because I just thought I was good at it. But I loved parts of psychology. I still do, but there were other parts I didn't love. But then later on, I got more deliberate about it. I really realized how lost I was when I was about 22, 24. And it was a hard time. And I said to myself, as I was choosing my new major, I'm lost. I don't know what I'm doing or what I'm going to do. So until I find that, I need to invest my energy into things that can work for me no matter what I do. So I majored in business and I focused in information systems. I was never the best at it. I know how to handle the charts of like users and clients and all the stuff within the system that would be built. But I'm no good with the technology. In my class, I was always the guy who led that team, who presented the presentation. I mean, you probably tell. And, you know, but I chose that as a focus, not because I wanted to be a designer of technology. I wanted that because I knew how important technology was in today's world, and that to be able to speak in those terms and have a basic understanding would allow me to talk with those experts. I would be the bridge between the businessman and the IT guy. I felt that was such a valuable thing to invest my time in, even though I didn't have a clear direction at the time, even though I didn't know what was important to me and where I was going in my career. I think this is another thing that's just so important. I'm so grateful for it now, but at the time it was so hard. I didn't know what I wanted to do. But as I looked at the lives that I could have, as people would talk to me about why I should invest my time in this job or this path, I gained the ability to recognize what I didn't want to do. And I'll take a sales job I did, for example. They were all about the money. I didn't enjoy selling subscriptions of Xfinity to people in stores because I was being pushed to sell the product to people who probably might not want it that much. I wasn't a cultural fit, which is something I realized after I did it. But you know, whenever I faltered, they would say, you know, you can make so much money doing this. You can be running teams, international groups. You'll be making millions of dollars one day if you're successful at this. But I looked at the life they were living. First of all, I didn't enjoy what I was doing at all. I enjoyed only a few of the sales I really enjoyed doing. And my customers never churned, as we would say, because they were the ones who wanted the product, really. But the big problem with this company was they were having us work 6 days a week, 13 hours a day. And we were making no money. We had to wear a suit every day. We were eating fast food. I'm just like, and I looked at the top. I looked at what success looked like. The successful guys were working the 7th day for 13 hours. you put a ring on your finger. You're married to your job. That's all you do. You could be rich, but you're so time poor, you're so emotionally poor, you have nothing that I really want. So when I realized that, I quit. I'm just like, I'm done. This is not for me. This is not what I want. I don't know what I want, but I know I don't want this. And it took 30 long years to get to where I am now, where I so clearly and so passionately see my path, my purpose. And in the next 20 years, I'm incredibly excited about the life I've set up for myself, the path I'm walking on. It took 30 years to get here. So I would say, if you don't know what you want to do, ask yourself that question. Really ask yourself, how do you like to be living? What do you want in life? Do you want to find love? Do you want to do what you love doing every single day? Do you want to make a lot of money? Do you want good status? Do you want to work at night and have free time all day? Do you want to be working for a United States company, making your money in the United States, but living in Colombia? Ask yourself those questions, and then find a career. Start looking for the careers that will not give you. It will give you that life, and I think that will help you. That will get you on the right path. It won't get you there right away, but you may wake up 4 years from now and just be so happy and proud, and all of the hard times you went through, well, suddenly you'll be thankful for them because they brought you there. And if you went left when you went right, it really wouldn't have happened that way.
Yeah, that's very inspiring. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah. Inish, I hope that answered your question. We ran out of time. We're like 2 minutes. It's just saying like I'm sick of working for advertising agencies. I'm going to read the comments that they have in here. Anna was saying, Weston, which was the site you mentioned to check cover letter examples? The Muse.
Oh, I know a number of them, but one I would definitely, just off the top of my head, I love is the Muse. It's spelled like it sounds, MUSE. They have such good advice on so many aspects of looking for jobs. And if you ever want to get coaching by me, I can tell you about a number of others. Part of my process when coaching is I determine what resources I know about that you might not, that would be helpful, and I'll send you the links.
Right.
But yes, check out the Muse. It's amazing.
Right. Tiago also says that what you said about you is the single most important thing for a people-centric leadership. People first. That's the truth. That's true transformational.
Yes. From both, I thought it through. I'm both a selfish and selfless person. I'll admit that. And the truth is being people first, it makes sense from a selfish perspective. And of course, it definitely makes sense from an altruistic perspective. It's just really the best way to give back to other people and ultimately develop the best life for yourself. Because if you give more to people than you take for yourself, people are going to love you. They really are.
All right. That's really inspiring, especially because I'm turning 28 this weekend and was starting to feel pressured. That's from Lucas. Advance happy birthday, Lucas. Parabéns.
One thing I want to say to Luca real quick is, growing up is really hard. It kills some people. So if you're feeling pressured, that's normal. I would say just keep on moving forward, and one day you might find the life you truly want. Right.
Yeah, I completely agree. Okay. We're going to go ahead and close the session. I'm forwarding everybody the survey form as always. I am that annoying person who tells everybody to fill out the survey form. Just Lynn was saying, I really think remote world is different than the world I work since my 20s. Yes, it is. It's
my God.
It's very, very different.
Just the past few months.
Yeah. Right. So where can they find you, Weston? Well, do you have any events upcoming? How can they reach you?
Yes, I have a website and I'm still just getting started, but I'm probably going to kick up activity more in the days to come. because I found the way to express what I think I should focus on. I've decided that the key, I just finished an SEO course, so I'm going to talk in some jargon from SEO, but it's so useful for making content too. I chose the keyword to focus on my website is flexible work, because I'll be sharing the travel advice I get from living in different parts of the world. I'll be sharing the cocktails that I love to make because I'm a fantastic mixologist. But I definitely want to focus on flexible work, and I want to emphasize that the travel and the cocktails and everything else wouldn't happen if I didn't create a career for myself where I could live that life.
Yeah.
I'm starting to talk about flexible work right now, so manofthewest.blog, that's my website. And feel free to shoot me an email or reach out to me on LinkedIn. I think there's a link on my website to my LinkedIn page.
Right.
I'm really slowly but surely getting into the hang of posting on all different platforms. And LinkedIn is one of my favorites because I really have to recommend LinkedIn. Right. If you post there, you know, the people your audience won't just be civilians. They're going to be the people you might sell something to, or the people who will employ you, or your supplier, or your future partner, or everything. That's how I met June, by posting on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I mean, most of the recruiters, by the way, are in LinkedIn. So it's really important that you at least update your information in there. And we're gonna have like a separate talk about LinkedIn specifically later on. But yeah, just to you need to be there. You need to update your stuff. You need to update your stuff in there.
All right. Folks.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the time, and I'm so sorry we've gone past our limit. But thank you.
That means it was a good meeting.
Yeah, it was really good, and thank you so much for the people who asked questions, for participating. You know, I will see you guys tomorrow, and then some of you might actually be mentored by Weston. So yeah.
Yeah, June, it's been so great to finally meet you visually, and everyone, thank you so much. This has really been a pleasure. I'm glad again, talking about value, I'm really glad I was able to inspire you, it seems like, and answer your questions.
Right. Okay. Bye. Ciao.
Bye.
Ciao.